And here we are after our first weekly challenge, weekly happiness challenge. And Jurgen, because it was his idea and he's our leader, did the first week, and it's focused on purpose. So what was the challenge about that you gave us on everything, Jurgen? Tell us a little bit about the week.
Well, the idea, hello Giovanni, nice of you to join us, awesome. The idea with the challenge is that every week we address a different topic and talk about that for a week and maybe try to push ourselves to make a little bit of progress. That can be hard depending on the topic that you're discussing. And I wanted to start with purpose because it was just on my mind. I was thinking about it and I thought it would be a great topic to start with because ultimately everything should have a purpose, I think, in life. Otherwise, why bother? We have to make up purpose along the way. Some say the meaning of life is nothing. It doesn't exist, so you have to invent it or discover it for yourself in your work life as well. So I blogged about that and I started to address the purpose topic as the first one in our new weekly Happy Melly challenge. And a couple of questions are on my mind that I think I made a little bit of progress with, but I would love to hear what others are thinking. So first, let's switch to Christian, who was the first one to join here on the call. I would love to know, Christian, what is your challenge with purpose? Have you found a purpose in your work life? Are you struggling with it? Did you make any progress with that recently? I'm interested to know.
Okay, hello everybody. I'm glad you started with purpose because I think it's the driver for great things. One other one is for passion. I mean, if you don't have a purpose in your work, in your team, in your life, then you start to wondering in the morning, why are you going to go to work? And I hate this situation, so I'm always trying to be sure I have a purpose and my team has a purpose and we know what is the long-term vision of what we are doing. How do we fit in the puzzle? And this is hard work. So I'm struggling at, I would say, every iteration. We work on an iteration base, and at the beginning of each iteration, it's my job or my choice to refresh the purpose for the team or for every team I'm working in. And to answer the question, why are we here? Why are we going to spend so much time together? And how are we going to make that it's going to be a great time and that the thing we are working on is going to be great, and especially that we got to have fun and be happy doing it, which is the whole purpose and which is enforced by the Happy Melly manifesto and purpose to be here. And that's a big challenge, and it's not easy. I must say I'm struggling with it, or I would say I work on it since many iterations, many years. I'm going to continue on it. And the big challenge I see is how to make it clear for many different sort of people. Some are reactive, some are not reactive. Introvert, extrovert, there's a lot of different people around, and how to make sure that there's a maximum amount of people which are having fun, know the purpose, and enjoy working together. So it's not set up, and the thing I can say is I'm really glad that it's number one in the Happy Melly Challenge, because I think that's the main driver. And I see the next topic in the coming weeks, which is going to help probably ensharp having and defining a purpose together.
Okay, and you said that you come up with that purpose with your team together. Is that right? Is this something collaborative that you work on? What is our purpose? Where does it come from? That is a question.
Okay, so I would say it's a multi-people approach. So I first gather the purpose from the stakeholder. It's really funny to ask the question, dear stakeholder, dear customer, what is the purpose of this project? Why do you even want it? And sometimes it's a hard question. Sometimes you get big silence. And why do you want us to do this? What is it going to be that's going to make you happy when we're going to deliver? And when I've got this, I just put this back in the team and I say, okay, this is what they say. What do you think of it? Can we refine it? Can we improve it? Is it exactly one-on-one what we think? And it's collaborative. I get some feedback of the people, and different sort of people give different feedback. Some are really quiet since months, and they give only one sentence per 3 months about the purpose. And some other are discussing hour long on it. So I try to make it collaborative, and it's depending on the human being which you have in the team. And some participate more than the others. And I think I've been on other team where the purpose came from everybody, and I can say it makes a huge difference. If everybody works together on defining the purpose, and if we agree on it, then you rock. I mean, on happiness, on result, on everything, it rocks. And if you don't participate in shaping the purpose, then you get a bit less happiness.
Okay, that makes sense. What I like about what you said is that you keep talking about it in iterations, because that is also something that Mike Labor came up with in the conversations that we had on Slack. He mentioned holacracy as something that he is now looking into, which has a specific process for keeping talking about the purpose on various circles. And that makes sense to me, because life evolves. It is not just about achieving one thing, as in the novels, like we have to throw the ring in the mountain, and when that's done, that's done. That is a simple purpose, easy goal. Well, not easy goal, but easy to communicate. Let's get rid of the ring. But in real life, it is a bit more complex, and things evolve all the time, depending on changing environment. So I like that you say that you keep talking about it, because the aim might have to switch to another location.
It's also another thing. It evolves, and there's also what I've noticed is another aspect. Not only the evolution of the purpose, but when the team people are working like crazy, they do an iteration, and then they are losing the biggest picture, the biggest purpose, the bigger purpose, and they like when we refresh it, because then they found the place again on the big journey we are on. And it's more rewarding for them to see we are part of the big picture. And they like it. They like the refresher. Everybody needs to be reminded of the good things.
Okay. Oh, great to hear that. What about Sam? The name Sam is under your picture, but there are two people there. So can we have a little introduction there?
This is Sari.
Hello, Sari. So, what are your thoughts about the purpose topic? What is your quest here? I would like to know.
Mine? Yes, yours. Well, I think what you had just said is interesting. For me, I think about it in the morning also when I wake up to go to work, and I wonder what my purpose is. Is it a job that I love and that I'm doing I'm in a service-based industry, so I wonder if it's to serve people or if it's a means to an end. So I can just do the things I want to do, and everyone works, and I have to work and have to make a living and earn money and contribute to society. So I always think about that, usually Monday morning. I think you mentioned I think you said something about you guys communicating the purpose and reminding each other. And I think I get reminded when I get feedback from clients, which is not really the way I like to be reminded of my purpose. When I do a good job, or when I get them what they want, or I serve them properly and professionally and successfully, then I'm reminded that my purpose is, more to serve, and it's less about me, more about doing a good job and in supporting my clients, and kind of wish it came from me more, less from a third party.
Okay, well, thanks. Well, you raised a good point, which was also a question that was on the Slack channel earlier this week. Does the purpose in your work have to be aligned with your purpose in life? Does it have to be like two things that are entangled, or even the same thing, or can they be split? Can it be one versus the other? Jen, what's your thinking about that?
Well, what I think is interesting is right now I'm writing an article on empathy in software development. And what Christian was saying about understanding the purpose for the client, the why, and this is a Simon Sinek idea too, everything comes back to the circle of why, the bullseye, focusing on why. I don't necessarily find purpose in my work, but I don't feel the craving for it. So I think I'm in a different perspective. But I get to tell the stories of others and about their purpose, which is great. But this article I'm working on about empathy with David Bryant gave a talk about it recently, and it definitely fits into the agile space, the lean space, everything where you need to constantly iterate. And one of the iterations actually is, do you understand what the users want? Do you understand what your team wants? Do you understand what the partners, everybody wants? And as you're iterating, you have to keep coming back to their purpose as well. So to develop good software, to create a good product or anything facing client, the idea is that then you have to really empathize, walk in their shoes, he says over and over again, which is kind of a contrite idiom at this point, but or trite. But the idea really is true that it's not just about your own purpose. It's about understanding the purpose of others. And especially since a lot of the people in the realm of Happy Melly or in somewhere in the software space, that's really important when you're dealing with stuff. And then it's going to get even more important when we talk about software that will be installed in people's bodies or worn on people's bodies. So it's all about understanding the users or whoever your end customer, your target is. So it's not just about your own purpose, but understanding the purpose of your target audience. So I guess for us at Happy Melly, the purpose is not necessarily for us to have happiness at work. I guess we should have figured it out by now if we're in charge of working on the team. It would be pretty bad if we didn't, but it's about making sure other people can, facilitating theirs and understanding their problems where maybe they don't know how to get out of it. So that for us is that empathy that gives us purpose, is helping other people find purpose in their work. So yeah, that's my idea. Bianca, can you still hear us? I saw that your picture dropped out, but maybe you want to tell us about your thoughts on it? Oh, there she is again.
Yeah, hello.
Hello.
Okay. So about this week, I reflect all my conviction, let's say, because usually I don't put a I don't distinguish life and work, just because in my experience I started working, but after I meet people that was really powerful in my life. So I work with that at the beginning of my career with that team where a startup. So during 10 years, the last 10 years, exciting, that already for me was a same kind of purpose, the life and the work, and the exercise that I made during these years was already to ask the value behind the objective of the team, because for me it was really important to be aligned with this, and that was my understanding of purpose and the power of this kind of stuff in building the beginning of a team working.
I like that you point out that the work and life are no different things for you. That is also for me the same case. I call it work-life fusion or work-life integration. My work is part of my life, so I would like to see purpose reflected in both, and it would be great if it's the same thing. But I learned a few things from the conversation that I had with people this week. First of all, that the importance of purpose is different for different people. For some, it is top on the list. For others, it is somewhere lower on the list, and that is fine. It reminds me of the Champ Frogs model that I offer also in my work. The P is just one of 10 letters. The P for purpose. The G is for goal. I mean, the P is for power. The G is for goal. That stands for purpose. That means that some people attach a higher importance than others, which is fine. Also, for some people like me and you and others, work should be part of my life. I don't want to separate the two. I don't want to balance between my work versus my life. But I know other people who are perfectly happy with that kind of situation. They go to work, they make money, they think their job is cool, but they use the money to do something else on their free time, which is their total and complete passion. And that is fine if for them their job is the way to finance their real purpose in life, which could be travel, for example, or I don't know, raising their kids, whatever. And there's nothing wrong with that, I suppose. It's just we're wired in different ways. Sam, we haven't heard you yet.
Yeah.
I think this is work-life integration fusion right here, and it's the perfect example of that. So I'm on the same page as that with you guys. I just in general, in terms of this week, I think, Jurgen, when we were speaking in the podcast, we talked about how do you find your purpose, and you said experimenting. And that is something that really this week made me think a lot, because I've always felt that way. I never put it so succinctly as an experimenting, but I've always said that for me, the more I do has always helped me figure out what I'm passionate about and what I want. And beyond that, it's experimenting, but then I throw on the end being really conscious of sort of what you're feeling while you're doing things. So if you're experimenting and something makes you feel alive, or you feel excited, or, if you have an allergic reaction to something, you kind of know more or less, okay, I want to continue that. I want to continue something else. So just you bringing that up really, I like that. It made me think about it more, reinforced it for me. It made me feel like, okay, keep doing that, keep trying things, because I think that is really the best way to figure out what the purpose is.
It reminds me of when I was, 15 years old. I already had an entrepreneurial mindset, and I once put an ad in the newspaper that I was prepared to make illustrations for people, for cartoons or whatever, on demand. And that was an experiment. I didn't phrase it as an experiment. I thought, oh, that might be cool if someone paid me to make an illustration. And then the very first request was, can you draw a caricature of someone? And I thought, hell no, I cannot make caricatures. I'm not talented to do that. So I thought, okay, bad idea. Try something else. and then I came up with a newsletter about the music industry, and it also led to nothing. And then the next year I came up with something else. I always was trying stuff. But the one thing that was the thread that was trying to make money doing something and that was apparently be entrepreneurial, to start a business, and that apparently was part of the purpose that I was after. I just didn't know what kind of purpose it would be, what kind of business it would be. Sorry, and that puzzle took me 20 years, but I got it. Ultimately.
While you were doing that, though, did you connect the thread that it was something entrepreneurial, or did that take 20 years to kind of figure out that was the?
No, I quickly figured out that I loved having developing my own ideas and trying to make money, offering something to people that they found valuable, that they were willing to pay money for, something creative. And it took a long while for it to be workshop materials and books and speeches. I was not into that when I was 15 years old. But I discovered that along the way. But the entrepreneurial part, that was obvious from an early age. Yeah. But the whole discovery process is very different for other people, I'm sure.
So following up on part of your challenge, and it was discussed a lot, but you brought up, you said pick a system and agree who has the final say over the espoused purpose of it. Is it you or someone else? Is it assigned or is it emergent? So in everybody's company or those that work for companies, who decides the purpose of the company? Who's in charge of that?
Yeah, I think that's a great topic, and I think for individuals it should be obvious. You should try and come up with a purpose for yourself. I mean, in the old days, or for some people still, the current days, sadly, it is parents giving a purpose to their children. You will take over my business when you grow up, and then you will take over my job. That is how things went. I mean, if you were the son of a farmer, you became the farmer in the next generation. That was your purpose, and that has completely changed in society. I think that's a good development. But in organizations, we still see many teams get their purpose assigned to the team by top management, and that is not always a bad case. I think it happens too often that managers say this team was for that, this team was for that. It's a bit mechanical approach. All the teams are parts of a bigger picture, but I'm not saying that this is always a bad thing. I mean, sometimes, like in the military, you have a squad or a platoon, and they get an assignment, and they have to do it, and they will self-organize and get it done. And then they come back and they will get a new assignment from their commander. That is how the military works, and that works quite well. They don't come up with a purpose and an assignment for themselves. In organizations, I think it flips a bit back and forth. We find that many agile teams have discovered that they can or should have more say about what it is that they're trying to achieve as an objective together with their customer. But then still somewhere management is involved somehow, I think, sending them perhaps in a certain direction, because, I mean, can you have a self-organizing Scrum team deciding for themselves that they want to be in the game business and develop a game when the whole company is trying to make medical software? I'm quite sure the software team does not have that freedom of saying, "Hey, let's start making a game instead of medical equipment." So there will be some constraints somewhere, but there's a balance in how much assignment is there and how much self-organization and emergence of the purpose. And I find that an interesting topic. And Christian, have you noticed a difference there in opinion of management and the team? What the team is for?
I could say I resonate with what you said. I'm in a big enterprise, big organization, and it's clear that the strategy, the vision is basically from the top management. What I could add is that my experience tell me that an enterprise, by his intrinsic behavior, attract people which have a more or less aligned vision and purpose than the company. It's like people go to Google for this, people go in insurance for this, people go to banking for this. So there's like a population which have a purpose, and this population seems to go to this type of company. So in my case, I'm working in several teams inside the organization, and I can say that each team purpose is aligned on the bigger purpose of the company. We have one case. Well, no, it's aligned in the company. We had some crazy people making a crazy product. It's reminded the example of a game in a healthcare company. I think there could be some exceptional case where this focus. That would be upfront thinking company. The general case is by us, you align. and you attract people which are aligned on the purpose of the company. That's what I could say. And it's also, I see, I'm going through several companies and I see the population. It's like the culture around the world. Inside the same country, you have different company, and each company has its culture and attract people which are more or less compatible with it. So I'm aligned with what you said.
Okay. Well, it reminds me of Google. You mentioned Google briefly, I think. And there is a purpose of that company of organizing the world's information and making it universally accessible and useful. Well, they certainly did that with a number of apps that they and tools that they have offered for free to everyone. They have interesting business models behind it. So it's interesting to see, by the way, that the customers, the clients of Google are advertisers with a search engine, but the purpose is to offer information for free for people. So they finance that purpose by having others pay for it. It is not the purpose of their clients that they're after. It's the purpose of people on the planet. So you can have all kinds of these interesting setups where the money that you're making is basically financing your bigger purpose that you are trying to strive for. I find it very interesting. And Google is a kind of company that is grand vision and then a lot of self-organization within the business, because someone comes up with self-driving cars, someone comes up with Wi-Fi's from balloons, etc. And somehow it contributes to that purpose. But there's a lot of ideas bubbling up from self-organizing teams saying, hey, it might be a good idea to do this or to do that. But you're right, Christian, the company ultimately should attract a certain kinds of people with a certain mindset who are aligned with that purpose, so that they come up with ideas that make sense given that constraint that is offered by the founders or by the owners of the company. But then how much self-organization, how much you let the teams come up with their own purpose, it's a bit of a scale that you can slide back and forth, I suppose.
Yeah, I think it's the struggle of every company. How much freedom do you give to your people and to your team? How much innovation do you want? How much risk are you ready to take? Do you buy innovation from startup, or you're trying to incubate in your company? Yeah, it's probably the big challenge of the next decade to manage this.
Exactly, yeah. So I made a couple of notes during the discussions on Slack, and a number of questions that popped up and ideas that people had. And one thing that was offered by Bianca, who is now also on the call, that I found very inspiring, was that she said that purpose is discovered by people who listen to the environment, while other purposes are invented by people who have their own ideas for things. And I was immediately thinking of extroverts versus introverts. While some people are very much stimulated by their environment, they pick up a lot of signals, they see the needs of other people, and maybe those are the kinds of persons who discover their purpose because they see what is needed around them. While others, such as me, they think all the time. I do not easily pick up signals from stuff around me, but I have lots of ideas myself that I come up with, and so I invent things, and then I test it against my environment, and 9 out of 10 times the environment says, no, we don't want this. And I go, okay, well, it was a nice idea, try something else. And then the 10th is a success. So, but that made me think, because I started with the question, is purpose discovered or invented? And because of Bianca, I thought, well, maybe it is extroverts who often discover purposes, and maybe introverts often invent purposes. What do you guys think about that?
I think it's an interesting connection. I never would have even.
Thank you. Sorry.
I think that there's something to, you said 9 times out of 10 things don't work out. And what went through my head was just that, you have to be persistent, and you also have to not be afraid of rejection and be afraid of failure to continue to put that out there and to try new things. And so I don't know but you self-identify more as an introvert. So I don't know if I would think that would be something an extroverted person would maybe be more okay with than an introverted person, but that's not the case.
Let's ask Bianca, because she's on the call here. So Bianca, can you explain what you meant there?
Well, I provide you an example. One of the projects in my previous agency was to build a health portal for relationship between patient and physician. When we hiring the people, immediately started to, and when the company was local, the people immediately started to ask for his medical records, and in the first months they got the job. They went to the physician. They was so they start to look really at the self-health. When the company was acquired by a multinational, and the purpose of this portal doesn't change. They continue to be a national project for Italy, but the company was worldwide. People feel afraid of that, and they really don't connect no more the local environment and the family as they don't feel that the job they do was the same because the company behind was changed. So this is a kind of example that remind me that each of us has let's say a boundary where we look when we look at our environment or ambition, etc. And the purpose is already part of this environment.
Great stuff. Well, thank you for contributing that. I really like those ideas and examples. I remember, Christian, you also had an interesting contribution. You said that you were inspired by the McCarthy show with Meta Vision, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Can you explain what that is? How does that sit with the purpose, purpose stuff that we've been talking about? What is a meta vision?
Okay, the meta vision is the vision of the vision, which is basically when you dream at night and you imagine you in the world you want to be. It doesn't exist, of course. It's something magical. If you were living there, you would be happy for the rest of your life, even if it's thousands of years. And when you wake up in the morning, you have this meta vision. And then the question is, what are you going to do? Which step can you do to go in the direction of this bigger purpose meta vision? And this is called the visions. And you have one, I have one for my life now. So it's going to keep me busy my whole life. Maybe I'm going to realign it in the next year or adapt a bit. But the ground is set, and I'm working on it, and I'm looking that the purpose I have at work is aligned with my life. It's like you said, the work-life fusion. I have only one life and I spend so much time working that it has to be aligned. So that's the concept, to say you're dreaming big. Dreaming big brings me passion like crazy. And having a first step in the big dream, I see his result, I see reward, I see change coming around. The biggest reward is probably when I got some teammate at the end of the project saying, oh, that was cool being with you in a project. We were a great team and we had fun, we had cool interaction, we weren't bothered by stupidity or things like this. And this is a big reward. So that's the thing. And that's also why I remind the vision at every iteration to the team. I say, okay, this is for this sprint, this is for this iteration, but it's just 3 weeks. I mean, our life is going to be way bigger, way longer. What is this step making in the bigger part? What is the goal we want to achieve this year, next year, during the next 5 to 10 years? We've got no idea where the target is exactly, but we can dream big. And it works for me. It just brings me a lot of passion. And since I have this, I have much less day where I woke up in the morning and I say, oh, do I really want to go to work? I mean, it's a long time since I didn't have this feeling anymore. And as long as I don't have this feeling anymore, or it pops only once per quarter or per year, I'm fine. If I have it 4 days a week, I'm in a bad direction and I have to do a radical change.
Okay, I like it. I hadn't heard of it. I know Jim. I met him a few times, but I had not read about his meta vision. So thank you for sharing that. I will look into it. I love the idea of dreaming in the night of a new world, new planet that is the ideal place to be, and then coming up with a vision that is your one step by step, but creating that world.
Yeah,
that's a very nice, very nice.
Shape your own future.
Exactly. So, well, my time is nearly up. I have one more. That is a topic that Sam came up with, a question that she posed. I would love to know if she has made a little bit of progress there. You ask Sam, does your purpose and your values have to align? That was a question that you asked. Did you get an answer to that? I don't remember actually.
I think so. Do I personally have an answer? I think someone did respond on the channel. Personally, I do think they need to align, because I think that's the word is alignment. I think when your purpose and your values don't line up, and your actions and your values don't line up, it can actually manifest physically, mentally, and it causes fatigue, depression, certain things. So I really think that your purpose and your values do need to, at least mine personally, I think they need to be in alignment, because I feel it when they're not. I feel sort of out of sorts, and I sort of act out. And when I start doing things that are acting out or aren't moving me forwards, then I know that something's off.
Okay, I get that. For myself, I would phrase it a bit differently. I think alignment is not necessary, but conflict should be prevented, should be resolved somehow. So, for example, one of my values is freedom. You definitely see that in many things that I do, and it's totally aligned with everything that I do. But I also have another value is like, don't make things a mess around you. I'm so annoyed by people who flick cigarette butts on the streets or leave cups on chairs in the airport and stuff like that. I clean them up. I'm the person who then picks up a cup and throws it in the waste. I mean, how hard can it be just to clean up the trash behind you? I don't see how this is in any way connected to the work that I do at Happy Melly and elsewhere, but it's certainly not in conflict, so it doesn't matter, right? So I think values, they should be aligned, or they should be like harmless. It has no effect whatsoever. You would have a problem if a value is like pointing 180 degrees in the wrong direction. And then you would struggle with your purpose on the one hand, and the value sending you somewhere else. So that I would understand. Yeah. But that's my thinking about it.
But it all comes down to respecting others. That's your basic value right there, is respecting the people that would have to clean it up and respecting the next person that's going to sit there. So
Yeah, or respecting me as the taxpayer who's paying for cleaning up that crap. So anyways, so that was just on my mind. There's one question, one of the many questions that we saw this week. Anyone has some last contributions or things that they want to point out at the last minute?
And I think you generated a great discussion. I was actually really impressed with the responses and the thought that people put into it on Slack. It was really good food for thought this week.
It was almost philosophical at points. Like is the organization like an organism? Can we compare the purposes of the body parts with teams and fascinating stuff? So we could keep talking about that for a long while, I suppose. But I'm sure we have another challenge next week. Maybe Jen or Sam can do something about that.
And I think it's good to point out that the discussion we're talking about, for people just popping in because they read about this somewhere or they're on YouTube or something like that, this is part of being a member of Happy Melly. Is we do have a Slack channel. It's probably the most powerful part of the membership because it is made of our members. So each week we have a Slack channel that's dedicated to the specific topic, but that doesn't mean the topic ends there, and the discussion will certainly continue over the next few weeks or months or years as everyone that joins Happy Melly has a very purposeful mission in happiness at work. And next week, Sam and I are going to be doing the next challenge, which is where we're going to be focusing on better communication at work and in life. And specifically, our challenge we're offering, or one of them, as you will see, is that we're asking everybody to be involved and consider joining us in our social media positivity week. Now, it would be dishonest to be positive on social media 24/7. It's a wonderful use of democracy. It's a wonderful use of expressing ourselves, giving our opinions. But we just thought, since everyone lives on it, and we all do, what if for 1 week we tried to be completely positive? And it's hard because I realized I posted something negative, but I'm already today, but then I kind of feel like it doesn't count because it's only starting now, so I'm okay. But I remember, yeah, it starts now, so we're okay. But what would happen if we just abstained from negativity in public and in professional social networks like Slack that we all live on, just for a week, and to see what happens and see if that changes us, if it changes the world, or changes nothing. We'll see. So please join us and happymelly.com, happymelly.com/join. And we'd love for you to join our ragtag network of entrepreneurs and businesses and people just looking for happiness at work.
And the channel's already started. It's #GoPositive if in the Slack group. Yeah. So we're going to jump from one Slack channel to the other and start discussing on that one.
Yeah. Great.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining at this call. And I look forward to the next challenges in the next couple of weeks. And I'll try to be positive. It's going to be hard. It's going to be so hard.
But that's good because when you sign, we can call each other on it. That's the point. That's why we're signing up. So we can call each other and try to support each other and remind each other if we fail. Because then I would also need a go negative week. I will need a go negative week after that. I'm pretty sure that's most of your Twitter there.
Jurgen will have a go negative week after just for you.
Or maybe he won't feel the need to anymore. We'll see.
Probably feel the need to even more.
Let's be positive. Have a great night, everybody.
Have a great time. Happy time, everybody.